Well, gentlemen, there it is. A rat's nest, and yet at the same time it works. Hi, Aaron with Christian Men Going Their Own Way. Whoops, I should turn this off. There way you can see my ugly mug. I haven't shaved in about 2.5 weeks. And I don't care. So, I was sitting here thinking I haven't reported in with you guys for a while, so my thoughts are going to be on traditional conservatives, how they're just a bunch of complete phonies. There's nothing traditional about them, and they aren't conservative. So, but first, update on this hermaphrodite of a truck. It's still holding together pretty well. The old 13-speed 1-ton. Put an Eaton Road Ranger 13-speed double overdrive. Installed that about 2 years ago, and it's holding up really well. Recently just added this box here. That is a Prin's vapor sequential injection for liquefied petroleum gas. Propane, in other words. I had to get there. I can't remember what the hang-up was. I was having what the heck was that? Someone must have texted me. Anyways, I decided it was time to get the I'll scoot along over here. Time to activate the propane vapor system that I had mounted on here, and the reason I chose to do that finally, I had my liquid propane injection system down here, this fuel rail here, and the injectors are at each port, and they were getting bad, so I swapped a few of them out, and I fought that for about 2 days straight. I installed a set of used ones, and half of them didn't want to work right, so I had to take a couple of them apart, and they were the injector little poppet valves were stuck in there, so more fun. The air was getting a little blue, if you know what I mean, from the shortening of the vocabulary down to 4-letter words. But I must say, the gaseous vapor, the vapor injection system here, that runs so smooth. I can't believe it. It's so nice. And I installed these liquid injectors used to begin with, so I think it's time for a new set. But they are not cheap, so I'll have to wait to find a good deal on them. I think they're about $5,000 if you're going to buy them new. So that is for the set or something ridiculous like that. Maybe not quite that high, but they're not cheap. So yeah, this is on an 8.1 liter oil burner. So I found out the reason why the motor consumes oil. Well, first off, I got a leaky oil pan, but General Motors, being some dumbass as they are sometimes, or half the time, or most of the time, I don't know, but this engine does not have a crankcase ventilation valve or PCV valve like they used to do. Instead, they drilled a hole in the bottom of the intake manifold to suck vapors out of the crankcase. So it's sucking oil that's splashing off the valve from the valve train and blowing around in there. And I wondered why, as I had the throttle body off here, the whole intake was full of oil and just wet all over, and there's no way for it to come in there through the air cleaner over here, so it's sucking it in from the bottom of the intake in the crankcase. So I was kind of wondering why, if I let it idle, smokes blue, has a little bit of a haze after you hit the gas. So, but yeah. This is MGTOW stuff. Most guys that are married don't take time to do this or even understand any of this stuff. It's things I like to do. I want to be an encouragement to other guys or in the mechanics out there, or the guys that play with electronics. So, anyways, that's it for that. But I want to call out the TradCons as a bunch of phony dummies, or whatever you want to call them. My shop's a pit. I've been on a huge project in the Sioux Falls area. I've been on a project for almost 5 months, and I'm beat and tired, and I made a mess all over. Let me see if I can rest this in the vise here. I'll turn the headlight off, not disrupt the video. Technology at its finest, guys. I'm looking at the ceiling. There we is. Smile, I'm on TV. So, we look at the carnage out there, what's going on with relationships and crap, and how it's not working. And from a Christian perspective, what is the Bible? I can't say it tells people to do. It the letter circulated in the New Testament gave us a way that was best to how to conduct our lives. I don't believe we should sit there and say you have to do this. It's got to be our choice. It's got to be a woman's choice to choose a certain lifestyle. But at the same time, we look at the way these Christian conservative tradcon families are doing. They get themselves in a debt over their eyeballs. I mean, it's crazy the debt these people take on to have the nice life, the nice house, the new cars. I don't know how people can afford this stuff. It's crazy. So they do that, then they raise they have kids, and people put their kids in front of a television, and now they're putting them in front of smartphones and all this technology, or their portable TVs, or whatever, handheld TVs, whatever you want to call it. They have the world in front of them at their disposal, and whatever influences are coming in, they're not guarding their kids against those influences. Most of them aren't. But especially with the women and what the traditional conservatives have taught their women. I'm out in the country. There's no women around here. There's no younger women. They all move to the city or they go to college. Now, what is up with that? It doesn't make any sense to me, but the Bible says that the proper role for a woman or a young lady is to be trained by the older ladies, trained to love their husbands, and trained to take care of their home, to be a suitable helper for their home. And how many conservative families are doing that? 0.0001%, maybe, if that. Very rare you see I'm going to call it cultish, or a certain branches of Christianity are borderline cults or cultish. You know what I mean? I shouldn't have to explain that to you guys, but these groups of people that will not allow you to marry within their system or become part of their system without really taking an oath to their system, pledging allegiance to their system, has nothing to do with Jesus Christ or childlike faith in his invitation to the coming kingdom. Has nothing to do with that at all. It has to do with their system and their interpretation of all this stuff. But outside of that, I kind of lost my train of thought here, but I'm a professional speaker, you know. Other than those types of people, where they force their women to do this type of stuff, it's really not a choice, or you're kicked out and threatened with hellfire. If you take a family outside of these types of systems, and a Bible-believing family, and look what they're doing with their kids, their daughters at least. They're training them to be breadwinners. Does that make any sense? No. They're training their women to be men, to take on the roles of men. What are you guys doing, you quote Christian conservative people? What are you doing? You are the reason this nation is crumbling because of your choices, or at least part of the reason this nation is crumbling, because your choices of how to raise your women or daughters is freaking crazy. You're sending them to school to have an education. They've walked away from their God-given design as childbearing and to be a suitable helper to a husband. They become rebellious and they want to take on the roles of men, and they're combative, competitive to men. And to be with a woman like that, to be in a competitive, combative relationship is homosexuality. Bottom line, you've turned your daughters to be homosexuals, or essentially lesbians or something like that. I don't know how to describe it, but they have taken on the roles of men, and someone that has fulfilled or taken on the role of a man, marrying a man is the equivalent of homosexuality. So, other than she doesn't have the penis. So, I just wanted to call you Christian conservatives out as a bunch of phonies. This is just about 99% of you. I don't know what the percentage is. It's super high. I remember every church I went to, all the young girls went to college, almost all of them. Rarely did you find one that wanted to stay home and have a family. It makes no sense at all. It's just stupid. But I don't know. I kind of wonder when the last time some of you Christians read the Bible. And the first, Paul teaches women to have their head covered, to wear a head covering as a sign of authority on her head, because of the angel's sake. I don't know if you guys understand what happened in the past, but the reason it says for the sake of the angels, or for the angel's sake, the angels saw that the daughters of men were fine, chose to leave their positions that they were given, and came down and manifested themselves in the flesh and mated with daughters of men, and they produced superhumans or giants. You can look at old maps of the continent of America, or Turtle Island, whatever you want to call it. West of Colorado, it says land of the giants in some of these old maps. So they did it back in Noah's day. That is one of the reasons, the perversion of these giants brought, and whatever else is one of the reasons God flooded the earth to wipe out that race. It happened in the day of, I'm drawing a blank here. Goliath, David and Goliath, the story of David and Goliath. Goliath was a giant. It happened before the flood, after the flood, and must have been up till until the last couple of 100 years that they were around. They might still be around. Don't know. There's been reports of them. So, but that was the reason women to have a head covering back then. At least one reason. Plus, it shows that they're devout. If they choose to wear something like that as a sign of authority on their head. Plus, excuse me, trying to burp up soda pop and spaghetti at the same time. Might make a mess, but a woman, and Paul says a woman's hair is her gift from God. It is her glory. Something along them lines, and for her to show it to everybody means that she's not, what is the term here? Modesty. She's not modest at all. She's airing out every single bit of beauty that she has, and much like the scantily clad that most women dress. So there's nothing left to imagine. So we pretty much have seen all that she has to offer. And then when you see her attitude or work with her attitude as well, it's pretty much a turnoff, and it's a done deal that you're going MGTOW. So if that makes any sense. But the modesty is gone. And then I know there's reports, I was watching a couple of MGTOW videos earlier, that these women are trying to return to the conservative, modest lifestyle after they rode the carousel, and they've got plenty of mileage on that body, and you know, there's no, that body doesn't have a direct odometer on it, but the attitude might reflect some of that. But I'm still a fan of the idea of having a it'll never happen, but a national abortion registry of essentially if there's been a woman who has had an abortion that is documented, and anybody can check out that list. That's what America should have, actually the world. It would be nice. And, you know, it all goes back to, if you got to force somebody to do the right thing, if you got to force somebody not to be a prostitute or a whore or whatever, what's the point? So if they're going to do that stuff, I guess who's to say why should I stop them? But I won't have anything to do with them. You know, it'd be nice if they didn't. It'd be nice if they were willing to submit to a good man and all the above, but they just don't. I mean, I spent years trying to do the right thing, and I've got a friend right now down an acquaintance a couple hours away, and he's trying to be nice. He's going chasing this woman who's been married 5 times, and I don't get it, but he's doing all sorts of good stuff to her, and nothing works. It's amazing. And I told him, your benevolence is going to be rejected because you're too nice. And I can't. He keeps going after her, and there's nothing I can say. He's blue-pilled, and he's slowly waking up, but it's costing him time and money, and he's getting nothing in return. I know he was out shoveling her sidewalk the other day, and he lives about a half hour away. He's driving up to town every day to do things for her, and he's just a beta male orbiter, or, you know, I don't want to call him a beta because everybody's beta, and we all have alpha components. It's just in different areas. And I like the Sigma attitude, or the Sigma mindset, is I'm not going to air any of it. It's all for myself. So, you know, in balance, that is. So I don't have to impress anybody but myself. I think that's the true Sigma. So yeah, there's articles of I guess there's articles out there. I was watching Hammerhand's video. He does really good reporting on what's going on. Feminists saying it's okay to be traditional, and this is all bull crap. You know, if there's any hope for the future, it would have to be women or girls who are still in grade school that have, how do I say this, even if they are in grade school, they're probably going to be exposed to this nonsense and taught this crap. So it's going to have to be young women that haven't had a lot of mileage or no mileage on themselves to try to, I don't know, be the hope for the future as far as any hope of family structure left. And I think everybody's after them as far as turning them into feminists. And then you got the parents of these daughters that are probably going to send them all to college, and that's as soon as that happens, it's done and over with. So there's nothing appealing to, as far as I'm concerned, about a woman with an education to earn money. Now, if she's educated in musical instruments and stuff like that, and music, I think that's an art. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, I wish I had time to do that. I compose music on the computer and do things like that. I wish I had the time, maybe I will in the future, to go to orchestra conductor school or something like that. I think that'd be a neat thing. I wish I was a professional pianist or some sort of stringed instrument player. I wish I could have time to do that, but it's just the way life is. You know, you got to make the best of what you have to work with, and what I have to work with right now is heavy machinery and doing dirty things to make ends meet. So, but yeah, I just wanted to call you trad cucks as a bunch of phony hypocrites. There's nothing about you that is conservative, and there's nothing about you that is traditional. So those are my scantily clad thoughts exposed and mixed around, sloshed around for you guys. So what else do I have to think about or say? Oh, it's been a while. I apologize to you men that are subscribers. I'm over 400 subscribers now, so party, I guess. But you got to be careful with what I say if I want to keep stuff on YouTube. But they haven't cracked down on me yet, so it is what it is. I guess I'll end with this, as I usually do, or most of the time do, about the coming kingdom of Jesus Christ. He said, there was a parable in the Bible that said, the people that I invited did not show up, meaning that at the time he invited the Jews, you know, to paraphrase here, those people did not accept the offer. He said, go out to the street. He's telling his servants to go out to the street, gather the good and the bad. And so what that tells me is this has nothing to do with our behavior. It has everything to do with our belief and trust that he is the Son of God and that he is going to come back and set things right. And admission to that kingdom is faith and trust that he is the Son of God, the Son of Jehovah. And that's, you see a lot of Christians, you know, trying to justify themselves, qualify themselves for this invitation. It's not necessary, and that's why Jesus said you must become like a child and just trust. So it's just that simple faith and trust that I can't do anything about this other than to accept it. So, and it has nothing to do with you being a jerk or being good or bad or any of this stuff. He realized, you know, if anybody observes life, you know, you're going to realize some people did not win the cosmic lottery. They were born into horrible circumstances, and they're not going to function the best. I didn't function the best. I probably still don't. So, once you get older and realize that it's not about how you function, because some people have it good, some people have it bad. And God understands that, and that's why it's an invitation, if that makes any sense. And all you have to do is accept it in your heart. So, anyways, that's my random thoughts for right now. I thought I better make something here because it's been a while. I just encourage you men to seek and walk after truth. The MGTOW philosophy lifestyle is very beneficial to people that have their eyes open. If I was to know of MGTOW and not accept it, it would just grate at me. I'd be kicking against the pricks because of what's going on in society. I would know it's like this. I know better, but I didn't choose to do better is what would be the equivalent of walking away from MGTOW. So it is the way of truth. So anyways, there we go, guys. I am going to get at putting that hermaphrodite back together. So anyways, keep your heads up, guys, and I'll catch you all later. Oops, there's the ceiling.